those people who have been involved in keeping the organization running for the last year. First, I'm just going to introduce Mitch, who was our secretary for a while, but Sabi Sands became far more important to her. But she's been doing our minutes, and much appreciated. Thanks for taking the time today, Mitch. Really do appreciate that. Freddie Kramer here, the events organizer, and has done all this. She's German and very organized, and so you'll see that hope this thing will go very smoothly. Greg Smith over there is part of the committee. He was on the finance and marketing side, and is still on the finance and marketing side. But we have got a bookkeeper who's coming in going forward. The back there, Tebogo Matabula, who is our deputy chair, responsible for community relationships. I think he's well connected in the community and can get people to vote whatever way they have to vote. So that's where we stand with that.
Dave.
Oh, Dave's here. I'm sorry. You can see I don't like this. So Dave Franson, the map man, joined us partway through last year after returning from some time in KZN, on the committee, advising us and assisting us with various aspects of the association and the running of it. Dave has a lot of experience involved in tourism associations in the Western Cape in particular. So that's where we stand. We had some apologies. Bev Coslet, our social media person, is organizing a parachute competition this week in the Cape, so she's not here. And Emily Jane, who's been serving on the committee, had a serious car accident a few weeks ago and is getting better. So, and I think that's it. Most of our meetings have been online, so don't see faces that often either. If attendance and apologies, I think everybody, if you haven't signed up and completed all the information, please do so. Then I can go on to the real business of the day, the chairperson's report, which I'm going to get through as quickly as we possibly can. For those who don't, I think I've met everybody here. I am Tom Forster, and it's my privilege to present the chairperson's report for the period from January 25 through to until today. Late in 24, we took the formal step of registering the Tourism Association as a non-profit company. We started with a vision, a draft constitution, and 3 directors, and a handful of dedicated volunteers. Our initial goal was to simply reach 50 paid members and then hold this official annual general meeting to appoint a formal board. While we stand here today with 43 paid up, 44 I've just learned, paid up members, but over 100 applications were received. We decided rather than waiting for that magic number to be achieved, it was more important for us to formalize our governance now and build momentum that you've all been asking for. Reality check 2025. I'll be the first to admit 2025 was finding our feet here. It was challenging. We had to cancel some events due to resource constraints, and like many volunteer-run organizations. In hindsight, our membership growth was slower than hoped because we as a committee were focused heavily on the back end of the business rather than an active recruitment. However, we met religiously every month to keep the pilot light burning. And I want to personally thank the interim committee for their grit and input during the startup phase. Thank you, all of you, and the others who are not here today. What we've achieved over the last, since we established, we went on the Mopani district stand to Indaba last year, sponsored by Mopani district, and apparently for the first time ever, Maruleng local municipality sponsored our flights and our accommodation, which was well, which we greatly appreciated. We have to thank them for that. In G20 period, we actually introduced two different groups to Hoedspruit. Ultimately, only one came here, and we acted as a vital link for local accommodation, proving that the association had a value as a central coordination hub. Provincial voice, we maintain steady lines of communication with the Limpopo Provincial Tourism Association, ensuring Maruleng isn't forgotten in the broader provincial strategy. And crisis management, actually with Joris, it's kind of kick up the arse, I suppose. More recently, we were involved in the during the devastating floods in January and February. The MTA got involved and we became the real-time communication hub for road and reserve access and developed a strategic recovery plan. It's been difficult to align our thinking with the governments, and there's still a process, and I don't know if Moses is coming today anymore or not. So it's something which we're actually been struggling to do, but we're continuing, Joris in particular. If we look at 2026, today marks the end of the acting era. We're moving forward to a fully representative elected committee. This means more accountability and more action. A roadmap for the remainder of 2026 includes the following: consistent engagement with members. We're planning on a membership breakfast 4 to 6 weeks, every 4 to 6 weeks, with a keynote speaker. Value adds, we're planning on a suppliers expo in June. I'm starting to sound like a politician with what we're planning on doing, but we also want to do this, and we're sitting at a ticket off the checklist. Marketing, we've drafted a strategy to boost our social media and online presence. Regional synergy, we are looking across the border to our Mpumalanga neighbors to ensure that tourists see the Lowveld as one seamless world-class destination. As you know, a lot of our visitors cross the border to the canyon or Manyeleti and various other places. And there's often challenges, as we're well aware of. The Elises had a few recently at the potholes or 3 rondels. Indaba 2026, we are currently costing a stand for this year's Indaba, and hope to have some members join us at that. It's not a cheap exercise. The Synergy group, which has run the Indaba for years, was officially appointed on Friday. So give them 6 weeks to get the whole Indaba thing sorted out.
Longer than last year.
It is longer than last year. So we're working on that, and once we wrapped up with this AGM and the preparations and conclusions of the AGM, then we can go on to hopefully come up with some options for Indaba. In short, 2025 was about roots, 2026 is about the fruit. Notice the chat GPT there. We built the systems, we've weathered the floods, we've cleared the administrative hurdles, and with the new committee and continued support from our members, I'm confident we will position Maruleng as a vibrant and essential heart of the Mopani district landscape, destination, Hoedspruit, and surrounds. Thank you for your patience, your membership, and your passion for this beautiful region. So that's my blur that you could see. I'm really comfortable at reading. Governance and constitution. We did send out the constitution to with the pack, the AGM pack. And I don't know if anybody got to read it.
Receive it.
Sorry?
Didn't receive it.
You didn't receive it? Okay.
I don't know,
It was attached to all other documents. So we can pull it up now and have a look at it. If you'd like to do that. And then or follow up and get feedback from everybody. What's the thought? Follow up. Okay, cool. So,
I mean, I didn't receive the entire email, so if somebody could just send it to
oh, didn't you?
No.
Okay. Sorry about
It
that.
did receive, so it did go up.
Yeah.
And there were 6 attachments?
Yes.
There were 2 attachments.
Okay, strategic projects for 26. Well, we've mentioned most of them in my chairman's report, and but we would like from the floor, from any new committee members, to come up with some new suggestions. We need some fundraising initiatives and things like that to at least support us going forward, that we can offer our members and the community the opportunity to kind of help us grow this association and, make it, certainly put the destination on the map more than it currently is. I have dropped in there something which came from Kruger to Canyons Biosphere, who are a new member of our association. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun a bit there. Financials. We got the financials for the year ended in February. Greg is going to address.
You want to put them on your laptop?
I'll put it on my laptop, and then he can address.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What, put profit of myself.
May I ask if anyone else didn't get the full pack or didn't see the full pack? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So first of all, I wasn't appointed as the financial oak on the board. I was meant to be charged of marketing. I'm not a financial person, but we had various people who picked up the financial role and then kept leaving us. So at the end, Tom and I took it upon ourselves to handle ourselves. We then appointed Atty Smith as our auditor, who's prepared these financials, so they have been audited and gone through. and we're able to make them available to anybody who wants to see them and go through, but they are really simple. Our financial year was March 2025 to 2026, but because we started in January, we actually have a 14-month period, but we've showed it as 2 periods. So we refer to total operating income, which is subscription. Unfortunately, we've issued invoices and there are a lot of people who haven't paid. And we're able to provide that list of people who did fill in forms and didn't pay, but we've left them in as a subscription at this stage, and a decision must be made by the board coming in. You have to cancel those and restart again where we went to. But 87,000 was invoiced between the months of March and February, which was actually January and February 2025, straight after we had the meeting. And then in February 2025 to February 26, we invoiced 50,300. You can go through and see how that turned out from a profit. Trying to keep as we were an interim committee and we didn't really have a mandate from the members, it was important for us to keep the marketing expenses as low as possible, or any expenses, so we don't embark on massive amount of drives. So advertising and marketing, that predominantly was things like shirts and brochures for the Indaba. It was some marketing material like a banner where we were doing the cleanup operations, and most of these those were based on bringing some stuff up that we needed to. And then IT and internal expenses, we have a system called Zoho, which drives our total marketing. It's a CRM database system. It does all our invoicing. Every member's got its own profile. Everything's linked up there, and that's the bulk of that expense is over a 14-month period. It's 720 odd rand a month. Meals and entertainment was a function we had with some Polish operators that we had at the Radisson, if I remember correctly, Tom. Other expenses, we'll have to get a breakdown of that, and then printing and stationery, predominantly for meetings and those type of things. So 40,000 rand effectively spent in expenses over the period of time, and a total operating 91,000. It's not what's reflected in the bank, and we'll show you that now, because obviously there are people that haven't paid their membership fee. Do you want to go to the balance sheet? So currently in the bank, 20,000 rand, 890 cents. Don't forget the 90 cents. Account receivables at 70,000 rand. That's still outstanding membership that is due to us. That gives us our total assets. If we look at the liabilities, we don't owe anybody any money at this stage. We are owed some money from a map project that we started. It was then vetoed by another member that they were doing it. The deposit was paid to some guys to do the work, and they failed to pay us back. It was 18,000. They paid us some back. They were meant to pay some more this week. But there's a liability outstanding. We are in the process of issuing a legal notification to get that money back. So that money is outstanding, and Tom can talk a little bit more down the line in terms of. So that basically is the simple financials. If there are attachments that we'll send out with them. If anyone has any questions, they're welcome to ask. But there are some attachments as to example, who has signed up and hasn't paid, what are the credit, what are the liabilities, and the stuff outstanding. Yours.
If I understand you, are you saying these income statements or the financials have been signed off by auditor?
Yeah.
Because does it make sense that you send out invoices to the value of 153,000?
Yeah, the invoices are 143,000, 137,800.
And you've only received.
We've only received, we are outstanding 70,000 of that.
You have a letter from the auditor.
Yeah, well, we got a list of all the invoices that haven't, all the outstanding debtors. of people who haven't paid, people who've signed up, who filled in the forms and never paid.
I don't understand, but I mean, you've got a letter from the auditor, he signed up these.
Correct, yeah.
So he's happy that.
Well, he signed these out, yeah, he signed, he signed them off, and as far as he's concerned, everything's true and fair, there's nothing untoward.
It's just interesting that he shows basically an amount of income or sales.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we obviously not a profitable,
Yeah.
PTY.
So the call was, do we actually delete the invoices that haven't paid? And our theory was to come to this meeting and show that we actually had those that they hadn't paid. We weren't gonna delete stuff that we haven't received of.
When you show an income statement as it is a private business, an entity that's generating profit, you even refer to the profit, but the sales is not actual sales. I mean, the sale is when you receive money and you return a good or a service or a membership in this case. So I honestly can't understand that you show a sale, a total amount of sales, which is actually not a total amount of sales because more than 50% hasn't been received.
100%.
So I would really suggest that you take that back, square it back to your auditor.
We'll certainly query.
A couple of.
Well, I think the idea was that we had a discussion about it was if we should delete the invoices that haven't
You
paid.
should delete it. So it's basically, you know, bad debt. I mean, in PTY, you would call it bad debt.
debt.
Somebody would not have paid you, but I mean, the status is, and don't get me wrong, I mean, it's constructive criticism.
100%.
I mean, if you want to sell
Correct.
memberships, in this case, to a new association, people fill in a form, then they need to pay, and if they haven't paid, they're not a member.
Correct.
So basically, you show us an income statement where the sales doesn't end up.
400% agree with you. Yeah, no, 400 agree with you.
So I can't-
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask us to approve these, I mean, you're basically saying the auditor has approved it, but I personally, as a member, cannot approve it because it doesn't make sense.
100%. We need to delete
We have to give them a month to pay, and if they don't pay that month, you must come off.
Yeah, but it's way over a month, that some of the stuff's going back to January.
Oh,
So then we need to delete, we need to delete it or show it as a bad debt or show it as a.
Or just send out messages to those
Correct.
people that wrote the,
Yeah.
just tell them, listen, are you still interested or not? If not, you're off.
But you
And
run,
start the new.
yeah, I hear you, but you run a financial year, when you want to, I mean, you want to close a financial
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
of 14 months, which ends the, but you're,
So, end of February. So we need to close off at the end of February.
I mean, I hear you talking about deleting or sending out reminders, but
In the next
I mean,
year.
this is the status quo of the business. Business is,
Mm.
you have people that signed up that they haven't paid. So I don't know, I'm not a legal person, but I mean, there's a legal statement, if you've ticked the box that, yes, I would like to become a member, but you don't pay, put it to me, you're not a member.
Yeah.
If you had 14 months to pay.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, no, I think, in our first year, there certainly were issues with governance and, changeover of people doing the accounts and things like that. What's happening, I mean, we just recently 1 month into the new financial year, but nobody is, they're certainly not going to be able to drag on for 400 and whatever days and things like that for any future one. It's cancelled in a month going forward, but that doesn't change. We know we've got to deal with this.
how many paid up?
At the moment,
He's 44, 45, yeah, somewhere around there.
44, pay, with membership fees.
And so it paid out,
Yeah.
and then how many, unpaid?
About another 35.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
75.
So, I understand you said there's been, before, but you said there've been challenges and people have taken on, I mean,
Not an excuse.
Huh?
It's not an excuse.
no, but what I'm saying, the books are the books. I mean,
Mm.
what's in the bank is in the bank.
Yeah.
That's what you receive, what you spend is what the auditor signed off. I mean, this is a very simple set of books where,
Sure.
you've had some entertainment, you had a flyer, you had a banner, you had a whatever. you know, I mean, whatever you spend, you will invoice and you be held accountable for it. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
so I think you have to go back on my request. I mean, the floor supports me or not. I mean, it's up to you.
I support you, I think it's all right.
But you have to go back to the auditor because this is not correct. I mean, I know the auditor because he's also been sitting on the board of those Rovalos that like
Yeah.
used to sit on the board. And I mean, and I think he's a competent auditor as far as I understand you. But again, my question was, well, do we have a letter from him that he confirmed that the books are in order?
So according to me, I have spoken to him and he said the books are in order, but he had raised an issue around do we credit the subscription? We made a decision as non-accounting people that we wanted to come to this meeting and say, these are the guys that did sign up. You know, we didn't also want to credit and have a big note in our financials that said bad debt of 70,000 rand. Doesn't make sense.
May I ask, does he earn a remuneration for the books?
So we only brought him on at the end to help us put the financials together for this. And yes, we are going to pay him to put this together for us. As I said in the past, Angie Elliott was our financial person and she left us, 3 months, 4 months ago. Yeah, and then hadn't done anything. So we just try to pick up where she had left off.
So
So
if you say she hasn't done anything, I mean, if she's the treasurer or whatever, minister of finance,
Yeah.
what she does is the board signs off on an invoice and she's authorized to pay or to upload the payment.
yeah, but she wasn't paid for it. She was.
But that's not the point. I mean, if you sit on a committee, whether you're paid or not, you choose to sit on a committee, you take the responsibility. If you're the auditor, you take the responsibility to audit the books, and the auditor comes at the end of the financial period. I mean, it doesn't come any month. You might be welcome to send in monthly management accounts, obvious, that's what we do. I mean, what I understand, and I think it's important to know for everybody, the members, the paid-up members, that these are the books, and they've been audited by an auditor, and the auditor takes that responsibility, and he signs on the books, or he comes back with discrepancies, and he says, listen, go and look into X, Y, Z, and come back to me, otherwise I'm not signing it off. And I think that's what you owe the members. I mean, I might be a bit formal, but I mean, that's what it is. You can't present something to us which actually doesn't present the true affairs of this business or this NGO. What's the status? Are we NGOs or NPC? Sorry, that's non-profit. Sorry, yeah. So I think really, I mean, that is what I would like to see. I don't think anybody wants to call it or support it, but I mean, I can't sit here and say, all right, let's vote for the books now. I can't say the books are not in order.
No, I think that, I agree with you. We need.
I mean, I want to understand as well, if Angie Elliott, what's your, I mean, you basically tell us now that you went through a couple of treasurers and I mean, they've left that for a certain reason, but still, if you leave, if you've been held accountable for the finance of this NPC, you need to hand over. You need to be held accountable. You can't just walk out. I mean, all about our government. Let's not even go there. I mean, I'm not suggesting anything happened that was not supposed to be placed. All that you want to see is our money well spent, and is this Maruleng Tourism Association going to work if we don't have enough paid-up members?
Sure.
So I mean, the next discussion that we will have is, and you know me, I was all in support, and I'm still in support. We cannot expect just by paying a membership fee, go talk to government, go sort out our roads, go and get diesel, go and sort out the Middle East war. I mean, we all know the challenges that we currently are experiencing in tourism, and 2026 started on a very bad note for all of us. I mean, we all realize that, and it might even go worse. This might come up later in the meeting, but I think it starts to, like both of you or the board is saying, we need to have our house in order.
Of course, I agree with Dave.
Can I make a suggestion that we, with what you're saying, approve the financials with a proviso that the bad debt is taken out?
Apologies,
Would that be acceptable?
if you can't prove that the books are not in order.
No, I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
but
I will object. Yes, you can't approve something that is presented to us that is not in order.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll just get it in order and circulate it.
Yeah, I think, engage with Achi,
Yeah, no problem.
get this sorted
Yeah,
out.
I'm
And
not a financial person, so I will engage
So,
with
sorry,
them.
can I ask from the membership side, are you showing the people that have been invoiced as members?
Yes.
Well, that's quite frankly ridiculous. You're not a
Sorry,
member-
sorry, say that again.
That's quite frankly ridiculous, because you're not a member until you pay.
no,
We're not showing anything to anybody who's not a member.
Now, what I'm saying is, are you registering the people who apply, who you've invoiced on the membership?
No,
Okay, that's
no,
fine.
100%. We have a list of what we call outstanding debtors, which are people who owe us money. And effectively is a list of people since we started invoicing them based on their irrigation, based on their days apart. So from a governance point of view, done everything correctly. The only thing that we haven't done is pass them as a bad debt if they haven't paid. And what's the duration of when someone signed up? There are some people in there who signed up a month ago. There are some people who signed 12 months ago. So it's a really difficult thing to do. I hear what you're saying. Sales on a sale till it's in the bank. But our idea to this meeting was we wanted to be transparent in terms of exactly what it transpired.
No,
Remember,
I agree, but I think
we are an interim committee. We weren't voted. We put our hands up and volunteered to do what we were trying to do. And from a financial point of view, the people who did say they wanted to do it have left. So we have tried as best as we could to make the right decision. I hear what Yoris says, and from our side, I'll go back to Ati, and we'll sort out that, and then we will circulate the financials again, asking people to vote on it.
And there must be a cut-off date when you do sign, that if you do not pay within that certain time, that you are off.
Correct. I think that's got to be part of the
And you have to
constitution.
reapply again from scratch.
100%. Okay.
I think you agree. I think, something that,
I'm just not sure whether you can call people who haven't paid bad debtors. They just haven't completed the application process.
No, they have completed the application, but it's
Well,
concerned.
if they haven't paid, they haven't.
paid, they haven't.
They filled the application form. We don't send an invoice out unless you fill an application form.
Well, that still doesn't make you a bad debtor. You just haven't completed the process by paying, Greg.
I think you should query that, like I said, with the auditor, because you don't sell actual products,
Mm.
You sell, I don't know whether it's called a service, you sell a subscription.
You're selling a subscription.
But, like I said, legally, are you not obliged to pay because you take the form? I believe so. So whether it's a bad debt or not, but let him come back to us.
No,
I'm gonna
I think,
on this, but it's important that we know.
I agree with that, and I think it's something which, from my perspective, thanks for raising it, Joris. I'm going to investigate with other associations, how they deal with it. Because I'm sure all of them get applications that never transpire in you. And how do they cancel it after one period, after 1 month, or whatever the case may be? And so that's now another void.
Thank goodness there's everything else looks good. At least got a 20,000 rand in the account. Yeah, getting somewhere.
Just for clarity and on the formality, Greg, you are the current board member that heads up the Massachusetts marketing and sales and finance. You get a treasurer.
No time. All I did was take on the responsibility of trying to set the books up, and Achi's my accountant for my business, so I grabbed him and asked him to go through all the books. But at no time had I ever taken on the full treasurer role, ever.
So then, when I asked who was or is currently responsible for the finance?
Well,
I
Greg's
think-
done
yeah.
until the year end.
Yeah, so I took it upon myself, but it was never appointed as treasurer. I don't have a financial background to be treasurer, but because there was no one else within the organization, we all try and put our hands up to help. And that was really where I came in. Angie was the last appointed accountant, and she's been gone, 3 months? Last year.
Three or 4 months.
Let me ask, what was the reason for her?
She just
You
said
offered
she-
her, the truth, you offered her a job.
I offered her a job, you know.
And she couldn't give us the thought.
Sorry to say.
That's true.
Yeah, it's the truth.
I
From one day to the next she left us.
She never worked for me.
So
She
we'll-
was involved in the art house.
Yeah.
Everybody that knows, I
So
own the
we'll-
property
I
of the
mean-
art house as a landlord. So, I mean, I don't know where that's
I'm
coming
not,
from.
I'm not saying, you know, that's, I'm just,
I heard other stories, and I'm not gonna bring them up on this forum.
I think that's
For
been
clarity,
I would really like to carry on, and there's a few things that can be discussed of.
And I don't think it's right that we should be bringing Angie up when she's not being responsible.
no, of course, I'm not,
no, but we've got the right as members. You
No,
know,
of course.
you're presenting a year, you know, you're presenting a financial year.
I get you.
And I'm just asking who is responsible for the books. And all I did is, this was or is an interim committee. Yes, I took it upon me, you know, yes, NG left. I mean, I'm trying to make sense of.
Okay, let's, we get the questions and we certainly don't want to be seen to be under a cloud here. We will come back with the responses to all paid up members by the end of this week. We need the signed accounts, and we're hoping that we might be able to appoint a treasurer for the forthcoming year now, but so let's see how that pans out. But I can understand the uneasiness, and believe me, it's deeply concerning to me too.
I'm not saying it's deeply concerning, I'm just asking questions.
No, I
All
know,
want to
but it's
say
deep-
is the last one I want to say about it from my side.
It's deeply concerning to
Come
me.
back to us with an auditor's report, and the auditor tells you and us as the members what the
Okay.
status is of the financial affairs. And
Okay.
that's-
Fine. Perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna move on if I may, but appreciate your input, yours. It's election of the executive committee. We've had no nominations for the roles as committee members for within the association. We have all been, or those of us here have been voluntary committee members. And now obviously we need something more formal to go through the process. In terms of the constitution, we need 3 directors, and that's also in terms of the law. We require a non-profit company is required to have 3 directors, and then we can appoint as many other directors beyond that point. So how do we go about this with no nominations? I don't want to run away with it, although I am, you know, it's something which I'm very passionate about. I'm passionate about this association, but I don't want it to be seen that, you know, particularly under the circumstances we see here with the financials, although we will clarify that. I would like to have volunteers who are willing to put up their hands and to join the association committee. Most of our meetings are online, with few face-to-face exceptions. But, you know, are there any people we can go through the portfolios and see how we do it? But, you know, it's a small group we got here. How?
I think you need to put portfolios up on the board and
Can do that.
Okay, we need 3 directors.
One, myself, Greg, and Dan.
Would you allow me to say something? Well, I've talked,
Yeah, of course you.
I talk too much, you can't, you really can tell. No, I mean, you know, you've come a long way, and you know, to me, there's still a need for a tourism association. We talked about 2 years ago whatsoever. Times have changed, they're not reflecting the state of the world, and talking about technology and how we do business and so forth, you know. I mean, in the old days, whatever the old days were, we used to have meetings like this, and, you know, people are excited. Now these days, nobody's got time, you know. And I think it's more important before you even decide to choose a new committee, if you can today, that, you know, what's the mission, what's the vision, what do you want to achieve? I mean, you mentioned earlier, my name, thank you, you and me, predominantly you and me, yes, and Jacob and Willemien and Tom Horel, we've been, just for everybody's knowledge, working on government, you know, to get meetings in order to address the crisis of the floods, the aftermath of the floods. And as you said earlier on, that meeting was supposed to be today, because I did the day today, and we haven't heard since last week, so it wasn't reconfirmed. Now, as we all know, the government knows nothing about tourism, doesn't do anything about tourism, no market, they just eat our complete budget as they eat our private education, or, I mean, that's why we need private education, private medical care, and, you know, so we basically sitting here, we need a private initiative to drive not only marketing, you know, but dealing with the government, all sort of issues that actually government needs to deal with. Now, you know how, you talk about the interim committee, now you want a new committee. For me, the question is, you know, are we going to be able to find some people to do the work? Because that's basically what it boils down to, you know, and some of us have got their own businesses and some of us are in material positions, wherever you come from, you know, but I think the reality is, and we've seen that, and I mean, you know, let's park the financial side. You guys have put in good work and liaised and lobbied and whatsoever. We had meetings with our mayor. I asked myself, as a member, you know, is it realistic to expect X, Y, Z from a committee where I just sit back and pay a membership and want miracles to happen? I mean, we've spoken in the past that we could achieve a West Grow like in the Cape, and we could drive investment and tourism and marketing, but we need the funds, we need the people, you know, and here we already battle on a very small scale, you know, to lobby with local government, provincial government. We've been trying to lobby with Mpumalanga Parks Board because tourists, they don't see borders, as we know, they hop from the Black River Canyon to Kruger and vice versa, you know, and at the Black River Canyon, they face those kind of hurdles, and the Kruger Park has got their challenges. I mean, simply, Maruleng Tourism Association is not in a capacity, it probably will never be in a capacity, when I look at it realistically, to achieve all those things. So, I mean, if we want to continue to drive Maruleng Tourism Association, we need to be very specific. What are we looking at? What are we going to do? And what is feasible? And let's park the things that are not feasible, you know? I mean, I've given up on government. I mean, it's Moses in Kobeni, it's supposed to be here, and MEC was supposed to be, you know, all the WhatsApps and the emails. I mean, they don't see prices, they get paid their salaries, you don't need to go there. But matter of the fact is, they don't want to even engage with us, they don't respect us, you know? Well, we're the ones that are paying the taxes, we are the ones that are employing the people, not them, you know? They're so arrogant, you know, no, they've got meetings, they need to hand out food parcels to everybody because that's their strategic plan. No, hallelujah, we are led by people that have got a vision. No ways, you know, that's the reality, you know. Well, you've been working, not just sold you, you've done great work, you know, we've come a long way, but you know how government operates. And it's, I mean, I was privileged to grow up in the Netherlands and I lived in Paris. I mean, there's no comparison how they do business development, marketing in that part of the world compared to us. And you know, been here 50 years and it's gone down like nobody's business. You know, it's almost like it's hit rock bottom, and we need to try to make sense of it. I mean, we've got a crisis in the world. People don't want to travel. It's a fact. Now we've got a crisis in South Africa. Petrol, diesel's gone up. The locals from Gauteng, Polokwane will not come to Hoedspruit because they're going to hit potholes. and mess up their rims, then you're not gonna be able to afford fuel. What are we gonna sit with? Empty lodges, empty hotels, empty restaurants, no work for guides, drivers, and the whole ripple effect. Are we gonna be able, you know, even if we form a committee and we walk away here, all right, let's have regular meetings. I mean, we need to be realistic. That's my part, you know, and I'm happy to drive or look at marketing and communication towards the trade ministry, but certain things, I think, let's rather park them because they're not feasible. That's my comment.
Marilda?
Thank you very much. You're not wrong. But we also need to control what we can control. It's very clear on the constitution what the vision and the mission of the association is. Which let me just be honest, as a founding member of the Public Road Tourism Association, as a founding member of the Public Provincial Tourism Association, my name is Marilda, by the way. I'm here as a member, paid up fully member of Maruleng. I'm also the SATSA chairperson in Limpopo. So I have very much got a conflict of interest, but here I am because I'm a member of the association in Maruleng. It's very clear on what the constitution says and what the vision and the mission is. And let me just take a moment to congratulate the interim committee for the work that you've already done. It took us in Palabora 6 years before we had any money in our association. And we had to work very hard to get that done. So congratulations for the work that you've already done. Do not get despondent. You're a long way from anywhere else association-wise. When we started the Limpopo Provincial Association, we had exactly 3 associations in the province. There's 23 municipalities. Mr. Matukani, who's sitting at the back there, used to work for the debt. He is now retired and a resident of Hoedspruit, which I'm very happy to hear. But it was because of Mr. Matukani's work with the government that we now have 19 tourism associations as part of the Provincial Tourism Association. And you guys are one of the ones that have the most members. Last week, we sat in a provincial forum meeting. Most of them have between 10 and 20 members, some of them at 9. So you're already so much further than anybody else. Let me just put that straight out there. So what I would like to recommend is the volunteers that are willing and ready to step in for the association, put your name up, please. What generally happens is you can figure out amongst yourselves who you want as the chairperson and so on, portfolio-wise. But as it is, let's see how many people we've got who are willing to raise their hands and step into this volunteer challenge that, in my opinion, is always going to be a challenge because it's a volunteer association. But let's see what the work that we know what the work is that needs to get done. Let's see who's willing to do that. Let's also remember that at any time the committee can ask somebody to join the committee as well, as far as specific tasks and things and stuff. So that would be my recommendation.
Thanks, Marilda. Ready?
Thank you, Marilla. Thank you very much. I think as well, for me, it sounds a little bit like there's no hope, give up, but I don't think that we can give up after 1 year. I mean, I stepped in, I don't know, mid last year. And I think we did some things. We had our first gathering, we're planning so much more for this year. We can decide this is no hope for us in 1 year, maybe in 2 years, but after 1 year, when you start your business, you know, the first year you suffer. Everyone, I mean, I'm 42 years in the hospitality industry. I know you suffer in the beginning. Let's start it, and I think it's a good idea. I mean, we talked about it before we met here. We have a lot of positions on here. And we are not expecting that every position will be filled today. How can you? Yeah, I mean, we are, I think, how many? What did I say? 24 people in the room now. Yeah, and thanks for coming, showing the interest. And if we can have a few of us put in a little bit time, and it's not like we have 10 hours a week for that or something, then let's try to make it work and go into it and be positive, and let's see how we can learn from what we did last year. We all learned from it, and let's go ahead. I'm very much willing to be in it again, and I want to move a little bit. Whatever I can move, I'm here.
Can I just illustrate on that? I think our stand in January when we had the floods, we made a decision not to focus on the negative but positive. And we went on a big campaign of driving stories around the world in terms of what was open and what you could do here, and not focus on the negative. And I think that's always going to be our main driver as an organization.
Can I just say, when we go back to the beginning where all this started, Tom, we had this big decision to make. And that decision was whether to be allied to local government and become the lobbying power for local government that we all needed and wanted, or whether to be a member-driven organisation, or whether we could combine the two. Personally, I don't think we can combine the two, because we need to be a member-driven organisation, a private organisation in our own right, to drive the membership to the point where we can become the lobbying organisation that we need. At the moment, we can't do it. And as has been pointed out, you know, it's really difficult at government level to get that traction. I hear what Marilda says, but the membership is the core of any organisation. If you look at where SATSA started to where SATSA is now, it's done that through a strong membership and engaged membership. And I think the decision all of us here today have to make is whether we want to be members and whether we feel that what we have to offer is strong enough to drive this organisation forward. Because if we're not all on board, there is absolutely no point in moving forward. But I do think that we have to put government to one side and make Hoedspruit Tourism Association a destination marketing organisation that drives the destination, that puts bums in beds, and that actually makes this organisation the force that it needs to be.
Good. Tomorrow, did you want to say anything?
Oh, yeah, maybe it goes back to the issue of saying your interactions with local government or any other private business. I think now you cannot operate as an organization in isolation. I think you must then operate in tandem with those other institutions and very necessary to engage with them in those platforms that you are trying to participate. So I think it's a process that we cannot exist in isolation. We must find ways that we adapt it in this complex situation as it is. And logic, you always were saying that it's good at launching the challenge. It's good at launching, but you must be a member driven organization. Those are the complex, those are the challenges, but it doesn't mean that we must be disappointed. But it means what do we do? That's the question. How do we respond to this context? That's the that we should answer. But for me, I would like to speak to the portfolios chair to say that I think even going forward, we move away from the portfolios of saying deputy chair or physical chair of the treasurer, because those in itself they become redundant. And I think we should then adapt to say, well, what kind of positions that will enable people or the skills that we have here to be able to apply. And I think we need, in a way, to have a response to that response to the context. I think if you look in this room, there's a pool of skills and capacities that exist and unchecked. And I think the previous committee, like you said, everybody's not done work under those circumstances. But I think in moving forward, and I just want to look it around to say that there is a need to move forward with this. But beyond the Hoedspruit context, there are tourism establishments outside the Hoedspruit geography itself. Chair, we speak to Scorol, the number of entrepreneurs who are in the tourism sector. And I think if we're to also speak to them, and they must adapt and look at other avenues and other capacities that are here that can pull and engage. If I'll give an example, we've got the Kapama who owns Hoedspruit Airport, but they're not part of this association. When you ask yourself, why is it's one of the questions you should ask yourself, why are these guys not being part of the organization? Those are difficult questions that we must answer ourselves. And why are we speaking from different platforms such as tourism establishment? Up until we address those questions and become honest and we're able to confront them, we won't progress. So they have an organization, but slowly we'll have members, others being despondent and deciding to do things on their own. So I think for me, it's about confronting those difficult, questions and asking them and then coming up with solutions.
Thank you. Yours?
So we're looking at 4 different portfolios. Chairperson, deputy secretary, treasurer.
No, they like more.
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Will you scroll up a bit there, Tom?
Yeah, sure.
Just want to see what stands at the
Well, I
bottom.
can find my mouse.
Click on the bar on top and just pull it down.
Good point, Andy.
So we got the marketing, we've got social media and
Why doesn't social media fall under marketing?
They can, they can. You can just,
Indeed, I was figuring some, I think there are quite a couple of overlaps.
yeah, they certainly are.
Again, it boils down to, you rely on volunteers and you expect them to put in X amount of time to perform certain responsibilities for the good of the greater Hoedspruit. And, I believe if you want somebody to be all accountable, you need to pay somebody. Now, it's quite obvious from the current sets of books, that is not feasible, and unless you change a whole new financial structure. It could be feasible. You could have somebody be paid on a monthly base or X amount of hours to do X amount of work. I mean, Roger, you're right. I mean, if the main effort is to fight government, but even another effort is to convince the Kapamas and all the bigger guys here to join us, then I ask the solid question, if a Kapam obviously can afford these fees, it's easy petty cash for them. They, why they're not behind? Have you not lobbied? I mean, I don't think there's lack of lobbying. But anyway, to come back to the portfolios, I think you've got a lot of portfolios, and maybe the thought behind it is like, let's divide up the cake and everybody gets a small slice, and what he or she's good at to perform, which can work. On the other hand, you can say, I mean, membership, secretary work, do you really need a deputy chair? I mean, you can combine a couple and rather get a couple of people that are prepared to take that up. But like I said, it takes time and energy. And maybe with the current depression in the world and in the tourism industry, nobody's going to have time to do so. And I think that might be the status quo of today's meeting.
I think the problem is at the moment, we're probably 4 individuals or 5 individuals actually doing all of that. And that's where the issue comes. We have a marketing person trying to do financial and vice versa. I think you've got to try and get as many people as possible. Otherwise, we're back to the status quo. I like the idea of people volunteering to be on the committee, and then, you then decide what portfolios to go with.
Okay, what I'm going to suggest is, let's get a core of people in this room, anybody who's interested in serving going forward, not necessarily into a portfolio at this stage, and then we, amongst ourselves, allocate portfolios.
I think it's right.
Secondly.
And so that, and it may not cover all the portfolios, and as I see here, this is way too much, too many roles and functions. But I would like to, ask, who is willing to serve on the committee going forward, and then we can, at our first meeting, work out portfolios.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Obviously, you've got a legal obligation to have a minimum of 3
Yes.
directors sitting on your board. Okay, so you've got that at the moment. I'm not sure if any of those 3 are. I'm out of here. So suggestion they just carry on for the time being, and then you've got a whole group of members that you may have skills that people know about within as you go through the year, you may suddenly come from the project that requires this. If you just reach out to say, would you be prepared just for a month or two, just to step in and run with this and see how it goes? There's no commitment for becoming a full board member for the rest of the year, but volunteer.
For a specific project.
Yeah, and do it like that. And then as people grow into it, so maybe they'll get a little bit more enthusiasm to be part of it. And they can say, actually, I'll stay on or whatever. But I think that's how you're going to find it. I think that's
Okay.
trying to run these programs with a small group of volunteers is always difficult.
Sure.
And it does get demoralizing when it's always the same people that do all the work. And it doesn't matter what community you live in. It always comes back to the same 2 or 3 people that come and do the work. And those guys eventually get responded to, but obviously find a way of keeping them going.
Sure.
Sorry, Chairman, excuse me, please. Calling the last one.
Thanks.
And as a question, I think, because there's a legal requirement for 3.
Yeah.
I think the idea was we wanted the members to nominate and elect.
Really,
So maybe we just look at those 5 board members to be nominated and elected in terms of this. And then from there, a committee can be formed with volunteers, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, just 2.1 is an inquiry, another one is an input. So for those of you who have not met, my name is Vusi from the Kruger Chickens Biosphere. And coming from a biosphere, it's not just an organization, it's a landscape working on a greater Kruger. So we work both in Limpopo and Mpumalanga. And I'm currently serving in the Bushbuck Ridge Tourism Association. I think tourism is also one of the pillars within a biosphere. So talking about some of the suggestions about a paid role within the biosphere, I think we need to have somebody that's talking that. That's why we're also here as well. So we could actually have paid somebody that will be assisting in some of the activities and looking into that on a continuous basis, even though they're not employed by the association per se. And then my inquiry or question was to say, if someone like me who is serving in the Bushbuck Ridge Tourism Association is interested on serving this side, either way, it still falls in my work scope, will that be seen as a conflict of interest or not?
Where do you live, Lucy?
Hello?
Where do you live?
I live in Ecuador. And I'm always just next.
Your business is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got,
Well, our office is in Hoedspruit. Our business is the Greater Kruger.
Fair
And we work with 92 communities and we've got tourism products throughout the landscape, including.
we've got members from Mpumalanga. So it's not, I don't think it's a restrictive thing. KTC office is here, so they're obviously here, but we're aware that they cross border. And most of you would go into the different products. Edwin, I can just see your hand on the head.
Thank you, Chair. From a visitor's perspective, I have not yet seen clearly defined challenges that the community had, so that when the new committee comes, could direct focus on those challenges. But we know that those which we know, which are out there, the issue of the airport as is not a done deal to say, about its future perspective. I'm saying so because we know that tourism in Hoedspruit is 80% the airport thing, also on the international travel. So I think that is one thing that perhaps if you flag those challenges, and then there is a way of dealing with them, the new committee will be able to know that they have to take the bull by its horns to make sure that issue of the airport is settled, so that there is a period of kindness going forward without people at the back of their mind noting that. The Bushbuck Ridge that I come from, my friend here, the road up 40 is one of the challenges that we have. You cannot have easy, I mean, so mostly in terms of the road condition and also the community upheaval sometimes. You're always not sure whether if you want to do your transfer to execute as late, is the road okay? You have to check first. The other day, my wife intervened and helped a guide who had tourists being taken from Molanga Kruger Airport, and then the road was closed, and then I also assist her to take them through back roads all the way until they get into 5:30. It's 5:37. It's just something. Yeah. So I think those bottlenecks need to also to be flagged. Not just to elect a committee into a vacuum. Your experience as a committee, there are challenges that you came across, but still, somebody mentioned the absence of some players which are key. Kapama is one of them. There are those activities that you only find them in Hoedspruit, and those to me are key as well. You look at the sun-catchers. In Limpopo, we don't have any active balloon experience. We don't have. We don't have experience of Jessica the Hippo. We don't have. So there are quite a number of experiences that we don't have. So which to me they are key as well. So to flag them, it would be important so that you know what the committee have to deal with going forward.
Great, thank you. Suncatchers is in the process of making application. Fad, for you?
I was just scratching my head.
Okay. Okay, so I think, yeah.
I just want to know, what are we going to do? Like, how can we lobby all these other players? Because looking at who's around here, I don't know, I'll be half of the paid up members at the moment. How do we lobby other people to become part? Like, how do we make it lucrative for them to also join this organization? Because obviously, the more people you have in an organization, the more pull you have, the more say you have at the end of the day.
I mean, I think that
How do we do that? Because I mean, there's many players here. I mean, I even know operators that are operating here from Kruger's Dorp, for instance. And like, is that okay? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I think that, sorry, I think that thing here is, we need to, as an association, at least we need to show our members that there are benefits, and that's where the idea of functions and breakfasts and engagements and that kind of thing come into play. People will say, okay, wow, they're doing something. Can we get involved? How can we get involved? Can we join? But it takes some work, and so those were the primary objectives for this year, was to grow our membership primarily by offering the members those engagement benefits. Yes, we've got to work on other benefits like discounts here and discounts there, but everybody talks about those things, but do they ever transpire? What I can say is, in working towards this meeting and inviting as many members as possible, I was engaging with quite a lot of non-members or people who didn't sign up last or didn't pay last year, and Greg did as well. And within the last week, we've had 5 new members join us and pay through engagement. Some of them are sitting here. It's quite clear to me that a recruitment drive is crucial, and by just by knowing the people and engaging with them, and somebody on the committee engaging with them, and just encouraging them that this is what's happening. Don't you want to join us and be part of it? I'll be with you now, Abel. So yeah, so I think that That's where we've got to go. People have definitely got to see benefits, you know. I would love to have, be able to send the members a monthly newsletter. Or I mean, Kruger-Lofeld does a daily newsletter, Kruger-Lofeld Tourism. But then they've got a back office staff of 10 people. So they can do it a lot easier than we can. So it's, and just organizing events, functions, that kind of thing. I mean, I know Gary wants us to organize a golf day. When's it happening?
Once you've got your house in order. No, but listen, if I may, it would be of great help if we could see who the actual members, the fully paid members are, because there's a lot of people, a lot of organizations and that I've already engaged with that I'm not sure if they're a member or not. Have they actually applied? Have they actually paid? So if we as paid up members can see who.
You support each other.
Yeah, because then I know, listen, on Moditlo, I've got five people that I targeted, of which only one paid. All right, it's time to work on X, Y, and Z.
No, certainly we can put that together.
Tom, I look at it and I see, I mean, it's obviously I'm new in the association, but it seems to me that there's a question that needs to be asked, is that do we need the farmers putting bushes and tatatoos and the big woods? And at the same time, do they need us? And that's where you need to come up with a plan and say, this is why you need us, and this is why we need you. It's you know, we both rely on each other. But I think at the same time, they've got to understand that the big boys, if you want to call it that, they may have this idea that we don't need overwhelming tourism. We've got our own financial resources to be able to do our own marketing and do this. And why should we be relying on a localized tourism association? But at the same time, we need to also go back to them and say the reason why you need us is because together we can do it better and stuff like that. I don't have the answers to that, but that's how I see it. It just amazes me that, you know, we talk about wildlife estate as just one. Well, how many Airbnbs and stuff are in there? Where are they? They're part of the association. But if people moan about how many different lodges in this things, how can they survive in the wildlife estate? But there's only, you know, so many that have joined up the membership. You know, and it begs the question of over a percentage of all the lodges and stuff that are out there, how many are we actually managing to get on that hook and reel into this?
Sure.
And it's a big challenge, but I think, you know, it is a case you can't be expected to be a massive organization in that first year. This is a case of you've got to catch them slowly. And as more people join and some of the bigger players do come in, some of the people start to get hooked by that and say, oh, if they're part of it, then I want to be part of it. And I think, you know, whenever you go into a new association or new marketing strategy, go in and see who else is actually there. You know, if they're advertising with them, then maybe I should be advertising as well. So yeah, it's a challenge.
If I might add my own experience, I'm sure Horel will back me up with SATSA. As some of you may know, I was on the SATSA Exco for 2 years. We would have in Gauteng, I was chair of Gauteng, we would have monthly meetings, and I would struggle to get this turnout at a Gauteng meeting, and Gauteng was the biggest membership next to Western Cape. So it's not just about getting members, it's about getting members who are engaging.
No, I understand that.
But the big thing when I was part of SATSA was improving the benefit basket for members and giving members something in return for their, with SATSA's case, quite hefty membership fees. it's not necessarily, I think, in this community about what you're getting out of it. I think there's a large element of why you should be part of it is almost ethical. It's the right thing to do. But in order to do that, we've got to say that this is what Maruleng Tourism stands for. This is what we are doing to further the cause of tourism, and you need to be part of it. Because otherwise what is going to happen is we all sit here and do the hard work, and everybody else who sits on the sidelines gets the benefit from it. And that's the problem that we had with SATSA. SATSA was making the inroads into the industry and doing the lobbying, but people who weren't SATSA members were still getting the benefit of what we were doing. So how do we make it sexy enough for people to be part of without them turning around and saying, well, I'm paying, you know, X, Y, Z per year. What am I getting? A couple of networking sessions and the chance to have drinks with friends and maybe possibly a stand at a discounted rate or a preferential rate at Indaba. And Tom, you will know from Kruger at Lowfell, that stand was booked out how far in advance?
About 3-4 months.
Exactly. I'm sure there's a lot of people here and on the membership who are desperate to be part of Indaba, but who can't possibly afford it. And that is one way of actually driving membership by saying, yes, we are going to have a stand at SATSA. We know it's going to cost us, but we're going to do our level best. Not necessarily this year because it's far too short a notice period. And we know how SA tourism screws it up, but we should be planning now for next year and not just Indaba, but WTM Africa.
Unfortunately, it's a value proposition. You know, I was CEO of Horel Wellington Tourism. And if you are properly funded, you can deliver a proper service. People see value in that, and then they join as members. We're sitting in an extremely difficult position where you can put very little on the table because you've got no money. That's the bottom line as far as this is concerned. We have nearly 800 members in our local tourism association, and we were also subsidised by the local government to the tune of 3.5 million. And with that, you can create a viable proposition people want to join because you can put a value proposition on the table. You can go to Indaba, you can go to international trade shows, you can deliver all sorts of things. But now you're sitting with a problem where there's very little that you can actually put on the table, where somebody who wants to become a member will actually say, well, okay, I want to join this because I'm going to get some benefit. At the end of the day, that's the reason that motivates people to join an organization like this. So it's a chicken and egg situation. How do you break through that situation and actually get a local government in Limpopo to contribute to a local tourism association? Because in the Western Cape, Norris mentioned Hoedspruit. It's fabulous, but they are funded by millions by the provincial government in the Western Cape. And the local tourism associations are all funded by their local governments. Doesn't happen. So it's so difficult to present a value proposition that's going to actually attract membership. So people like the Kapamas yourself as well.
Realistically, what is our chance of getting any subsidisation from Maruleng municipality?
Okay, I've got a few questions and then just move on. I'll try and answer you just now, Greg?
No, I was just thinking that we should try and get this to a wrap up. So
Yeah, no, that's where we're going now. So Edward, I'll come to you too.
Yeah, so I was also just listening to all the inputs, and it sounds to me like we're already populating an action plan for the new committee. And in that action plan, we need to do a gap identification, a value proposition, newsletter, membership criteria, and so forth. And yeah, I believe that even with the whole membership and the value proposition, we can start building that. At the same time, we could even do a Google form research with the different tour operators to say what value would you like to see, what would you like to to get assistance. Maybe it's just as simple as informing people of what's happening on the road. But yeah, I mean, with the marketing, when it comes down to membership, people like Lokapama, who they're just right next door to the airports, would not be worried about what's happening on the R40 and all this other stuff because you just cross the road every day. So I think this is an action plan, but for now, the main problem is, or the main gap is actually getting a team that needs to go there. So I think with that being noted, I would suggest that we move on to the membership part, and then this would be some of the actions or points that we start
For the first committee meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, just Edward, you had your hand up earlier.
Thank you, Chair. Well, there was a certain person is my neighbor. We'll drink coffee also. Chair, I'm back to the question raised as to the challenge of membership. I think it was input was given after I raised my hand, and I'm liking even the idea of golf. But then there are two types of people: those who want to see things happen first before they join. If they don't see anything of value, they won't. But if they see some activity, they will be part of it. Remember, Hoedspruit, you once had a rhino festival or something. I was worried when it did not continue, not knowing who's the organizer, why it stopped. Because that helps a lot to bring the town together. Also, in terms of your social impact that you get out of such activity. So I would say those who want to see things happen before they commit, they need to see activity. And then number two, those who are of strategic value to our cause of tourism, which I think they need to be approached and like handpicked. Those ones need to be focused on, like you have got somebody responsible for a membership, a team of 2 people drink coffee with someone that you are recruiting. Kapama, we want you are a big shot. You've got a high volume and you are our dish. Sun Teachers want you are the unique only offering in the whole of the region. We want you. Some of that also needs to, the issue of cross-border or boundary, I don't know which is the one with the Mpumalanga. Juris indicated correctly to say to a tourist, they don't see your boundary, to say whether I'm in Mpumalanga or I'm in Limpopo, it doesn't matter. They want to see what they want to see. So we need that seamless flow of tourists to be created in a way that the service they get is the service they get this side. So that relationship as well need to be harnessed and be pushed. Some of them need to be pushed. We are also selling the escarpment, and we can't shy away from that. If the road in the escarpment is not okay, the power that be, you know, sometimes while I was still where I'm coming from, I once organized a breakfast session at what is that restaurant on the road here? Megan Creek. Oh, sorry?
In the main road?
Yeah. Yeah. I once organized a session with the MEC to come and talk to the industry, government position. That's very much important because it doesn't only tell us what government is thinking. It also alerts the government that we know and we care about them. We are expecting something from them. You know, a breakfast with the mayor is very much important. Mayor, come, address us on this. Where is the government going? What is the government plan? It's very much important. So I think this kind of relationship and activity are those which will make people to start liking what's happening. Some of them, like, we want the owner of the airport come and talk to us. You know, some of the people are not residents of Hoedspruit, they are very far. But to invite them to a breakfast or the dinner with them, to come and address and talk their plan, that which we need to align with. I'm giving the example of Sandra.
Okay.
The responsibility of Sandra have to come down.
Okay. So, yeah.
We have only 10 more minutes in this room, and we have things to do. We have to do them now.
So if we can
Very
interrupt you,
valued,
Thank you very much. I'm content.
very valued.
Can I just say something?
Very important.
Can I just say something before we go? I think
as members, we need to recognise Tom for the amount of time and effort he puts into Maruleng tourism, very unselfishly.
Absolutely.
He sleeps and drinks it, and we wouldn't be anywhere where we are today without Tom. So,
Thank you. Okay, I'm quickly going to rush through the other item.
we haven't.
I think we have still to decide how we go on with this.
Anybody,
We
yeah, if
take
you-
volunteers and
volunteers,
projects,
it's on the
so
committee.
we mix. Yeah, we mix actually what we said, that when there are volunteers here, raise their hand, and if we need volunteers.
One day.
Andy,
You get it.
Andy Sussens.
Say names out loud so that we can-
Yeah, so Andy says it.
Marilla?
No,
No, but you said, you want to?
I want to write the names.
I'd like to.
Myself and Christine together.
Andy.
Depends what it entails, that's.
Yeah, no, of course, I
I
mean,
don't know what it entails, I'm happy to volunteer, but I don't know what I'm,
Next time, we'll myself.
why don't you come and join for?
Put your name down and then we'll organise.
Because anyway, they have jobs.
I don't know, those jobs aren't for me.
Okay.
If you know, the like treasurer, I'd be useless.
Right, you don't necessarily have to fill a role, you can just be a member on the team.
But that's what I'm saying, I don't know what it entails. I'm happy to volunteer, but I don't know what it entails.
Your is.
Yeah.
If you ask to,
Get things right. Yeah.
Okay, whom do we have on the list now? I didn't follow it.
On the
Ready?
list is Dave. Dave Prince.
are you
Sorry.
in or out?
It's still part of the three.
I'm part of the original three, but I think what we should do is call for nominations for the three positions that are required in terms of the rules.
Okay,
And that's all we should do.
do for this
And
day.
then we can,
Do the rest.
you can do the rest at a
Yeah.
later stage.
Okay,
Personally, I would like to nominate Tom as chair.
And I'll say
Yes,
that.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
If we all vote on that, then we can move on to the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put our hands up.
Yeah.
Give this-
Who's on for chess?
it will,
Question.
Ah,
Yeah, to let him take charge of the whole, who says Tom must take
Yes.
charge of the whole thing?
Yeah.
can I be educated like I was last year?
We need three, so second, we would like you.
Greg,
That's fine.
I mean, we need the three,
Greg for treasury.
we need the three. And it's quite a process to change the board members. And then a third one.
Free.
Yes, I would agree.
Really?
Sorry, just for make sure, are you accepting the treasurer position?
No, that was the.
Don't bring up jokes.
Directors, myself, Tom, and Dave want to come up with director, and Freddie has volunteered to come up with director, which I think would be very good.
Right, so I'm just for clarification, if you'll allow me, Chair, I'm stepping in here. Tom has been nominated, unanimously as the chair, is remaining as a director. Greg is remaining as a director, Dave is stepping down as a director, and Freddie is taking over.
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations.
That was good.
Thank you.
Also want to be.
It was.
space.
Always space.
Committee desk space, no problem.
Yeah.
Lot of space, lot of space.
Let the directors just get it together. We've got some other names who done a yacht.
So I've
Done
got,
it for a little bit.
the lodge quickly, I'm busy building a brand new lodge from scratch, so.
We'll get in on projects.
Okay,
so the names I've recorded here is Andy and Christine. Hat, Lucy, yours was nominated.
Sonia,
Sonia?
you can do lots.
So Andy, Christine, Hat, Lucy, Sonia, anyone else? Nominate.
the Boku?
Yes, yes, you were.
Are you volunteering to go onto the committee?
Yes.
So Edward,
We got a government link.
yes?
Edward.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll just, okay, so let's Cool, so we've got enough, we'll set up, get in touch with everybody, committee meeting. And then we'll take it from.
Congratulations to the new committee.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to quickly jump to something which was highlighted in red there, the illegal mining issue, which I started talking about briefly. Request from Nick from Kruger to Canyon Biosphere. And a lot of concern about the thing. I'm just going to quickly read through what a abbreviated version of what she got. We all know the Bladder River catchment is the heart of our tourism economy, but now that heart is under threat. Rapid expansion of illegal mining is moving directly into the sensitive drainage systems that feed Bladder River and Bearfoot Dam. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's a direct threat to our water quality, our safety, and the very brand of the region. The ban, while concerns have been raised before, the enforcement has been inconsistent. That is why the Environmental Law Group is launching a coordinated two-phase initiative. Phase one, about constructive engagement, demanding that national and provincial departments step up and coordinate their enforcement. Phase two ensures that we are prepared. If the government fails to act, we have the formal legal framework in place to seek further remedies. The call to action, we are not here to be immediately adversarial, but we must be protected. But by signing a mandate and resolution documents provided, which I will share with you if you're interested, provided, you aren't committing to a lawsuit. You're adding your weight to a collective voice. The more stakeholders we have, the stronger our legal standing becomes. Let's ensure Bladder remains a world-class destination for generations to come. And so that's what I've got a list here if anybody's keen just to put the name to that, and then we'll share the information with you. And I think that as Tourism Association, we must also
Must be involved.
must be involved. But if you, as an individual, and you want to sign up, here's a piece of paper to put your name on it. We'll send you all the information. So that is that the we need to schedule the first meeting, but let's get in touch afterwards. Cool. Closing remarks. Thank you to everybody, and thanks again to Radisson for giving us the venue free of charge.
They members.
Yes, they are.
I'm wondering.
No, they are.
One of the top members, no, one of the big members.
And they generously let us use venues and things like that. We've got to pay for the coffee, but not
We
the
want to point out that we had enough money to have water on it this time. Last time you remember we didn't have any water, we had nothing.
Yeah, and thank you very much to Freddie for organizing it, and to Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
Mitch does shorthand minute taking.
We forgot your name on the committee list.
So if you look at their page, it'll just be squiggles, and we'll get the minutes probably within a couple of days.
Couple of hours.
For next one, we need to find a coffee sponsor.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Much
Please
appreciated.
don't forget to put your names if you are interested.
For money. Yeah. But we'll get on the track.
Yes, please.
Where is Farm Boys?
Ja, so een van de